Hello, Deep Six Wrestling fans, and shout out to Chester Bennington. It's been 2 years since you left us, and still love you, man. I am the glorious Robbie Rotten, and welcome to Glorious or Rotten Rewind. This episode is going to focus on WrestleMania 10, which took place March 20th, 1994, from Madison Square Garden in New York City, New York. And 10th anniversary of WrestleMania here, obviously. And they showed a really cool, retrospective video package, just showing moments from past WrestleMania. So that was a really cool open for the show. They get Little Richard out to sing America the Beautiful. I'm pretty sure he lip synced it. It sounded good, but, I'm pretty sure it was lip synced. So it's not as impressive as if he sang live, obviously. And yeah, we're going to launch right into this one. So, the opening match of the night is Bret Hart versus his brother Owen Hart. And I can just tell you, this is a hell of a match. Jerry the King Lawler is actually doing his WrestleMania debut here on commentary, and he's doing a great job. These two have excellent chemistry, not really surprising since they are brothers, but excellent chemistry here, great technical wrestling early and throughout. This match I can't even say enough good things about it. This could possibly be the best opening match in WrestleMania history. These two really delivered and went all out. And you know what? It's crazy because Bret is actually doing double duty at this WrestleMania because he's the co-winner of the 1994 Royal Rumble with Lex Luger, so they both are getting title shots at Yokozuna's title. So Lex is going to get the first one later in the show, and the winner of that match is going to face Bret Hart in the main event for the WWF title. So Bret Hart's doing double duty, and he still went all out on this one. This match was probably about 20 minutes long, and it was crazy. They held nothing back. There was actually a spot, too, where Bret hit his knee on the guardrail, and he was selling that. So Owen started working on it. And I wouldn't be shocked to see him selling that later in the evening. I think it's going to stack on the odds for him. So we'll see going forward. And just go watch this match. This match is incredible. 100% absolutely glorious for me. One of the better WrestleMania matches so far. For sure. Next up, we have Bam Bam Bigelow and Luna Vachon versus Twink and Dink, the clowns. And Dink is a little person, but you know what? He's a damn fine athlete. He's bumping around like crazy and doing flips and stuff, so that was kind of cool. I mean, really, this match wasn't much. It wasn't really a great match, but it was a solid come-down match, good comedy show, After the barn burner that the Hart brothers had, I honestly did not mind having something silly and fun, just as kind of like a bring me back down to earth after the super high you get from that hell of a match beforehand. So this was fine. Bam Bam actually hits a diving headbutt on Doink from the top rope, and they pin him, and they get the win. And then the heels try to beat down the clowns, and the clowns kind of fight back. So yeah. And this was whatever. It was fine for what it was, not offensive to me. And then after, they showed a Bill Clinton impersonator. I don't understand what the point of this was, because they showed him throughout the night. They even talked to him a couple times. I actually really did think it was Bill Clinton when I saw him. And then when he started talking, I was like, nah, that's not him. And I had to look it up because I wanted to be sure. I didn't want to be like, oh, Bill Clinton was there, and it not be him, because obviously it wasn't him. It was pretty stupid. I don't really get the point of that. Next up, we have a Falls Count Anywhere match between Macho Man Randy Savage, who gets a massive, massive pop here when he comes out. And I believe this was actually his last televised WWF match, versus Crush with Mr. Fuji. And normally you'd think Falls Count Anywhere, just a typical, the first pinfall anywhere counts. That's it. No. The rules here were as follows. you have to make a pinfall outside of the ring, and then you have to, whoever makes the pinfall has to get back in the ring. Basically, the only way to lose is if you get pinned outside the ring, and then you can't make it back to the ring in 60 seconds. So the pinfalls don't count as a loss. It's not making it back to the ring in 60 seconds. It counts as a loss. Very, very bizarre way to do a falls count anywhere. Obviously, that's not how they do it today, and it's probably for the better. This was kind of unique, though, so it was kind of entertaining. Macho actually attacks Crush right on his entrance, and the bell rings right away. And he beats him down for a second, but then Crush lifts up Macho and slams him like neck first on the barricade and gets the first pin in about 45 seconds here. So, and Macho just barely gets in the ring with like 1 or 2 seconds left. So the match continues. And then Macho gets control back, and he hits an elbow drop on Crush and pushes him outside the ring and pins him for 3. And again, Crush is just barely able to get back in the ring with a few seconds left. And then they kind of brawl around the outside for a while. And then finally, in the backstage area, Macho slams Crush's head into a door and then pushes him outside, pins him for 3. And then he tries to hang him upside down on some scaffolding, which just doesn't really work. He doesn't really stay upside down, and just kind of falls, but he ties him up, and then he comes back to the ring, and that's it. Crush does not make it back in time. So Macho Man is victorious in a very bizarre, but overall pretty entertaining Falls Count Anywhere match. Solid match. Nothing special. I don't think I'd like to see this concept done again. I'd like the Falls Count Anywhere match as it is. So, but for something different, this is alright. And I always love to see Macho Man. He always works hard. So, it was what it was. Next up, we had the WWF Women's Championship match. And this is the first women's title match in quite a while. WrestleMania, I think WrestleMania 2 was the last time it was defended. So, they're really trying here. Because it was champion Alundra Blaze versus Leilani Kai, who was the champion going into WrestleMania 1, if y'all remember and watched my videos. They really tried to make Blaze look like a really big deal. They had like fireworks during her entrance, and they just really tried to sell her as this huge star. And you know what? She actually did a really good job. She worked really hard, and she looked really good. And they tried, but this match just simply didn't have enough time. Blaze wins with a bridging German suplex, and it was a solid sprint. It wasn't a bad match. If it had maybe 5 minutes, it didn't even have 5 minutes. It was like 3 minutes. If it had 5 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes, it could have been something really good. So it's a shame they weren't given at least that. So they tried hard, but they didn't try hard enough. Come on, WWF. Obviously, they're doing better today, but it took them a long time to get to this point, And even back then, they weren't really pushing them hard enough. So, what can you do? Next up, we had the WWF Tag Team Championship match between the champions, the Quebecers, Jacques and Pierre, versus Men on a Mission, Mo and Mabel. You may know Mabel as Viscera or Big Daddy V. And this, I don't know. These teams didn't really have the best chemistry. And I don't really think Men on a Mission was very good. But, this kind of was just here. It wasn't the worst match I've ever seen, but it wasn't good. I mean, the Quebecers had some good tag team chemistry. They were good together, but they didn't work so well with Men on a Mission. And this was a little longer than it should have been. I don't know. I can't say I was a fan of this. It ended in countout when Men on a Mission hit their finisher on one of the Quebecers outside the ring and then didn't bring him back in, so they won by countout. Then they pose with the belts, which is kind of weird. I don't know. I'll give this one a rotten. I really didn't enjoy anything about this, so meh. All right, and now we have the first of the WWF Championship matches with Lex Luger versus Yokozuna with Jim Cornette and Mr. Fuji, and we have special guest referee Mr. Perfect, who, if you remember last year, was Lex Luger's opponent at WrestleMania. So it's kind of interesting to see, but Perfect is kind of a baby face here, and so is Luger. So it's whatever. I guess they're not really acting on the history there. And this had a solid start, and then it kind of went downhill from there. We had, of course, the USA chants, and they made sense this time because Lex Luger is from the United States, and he actually is wearing U.S. tights, so it makes sense. Oh, these two did not have chemistry. There was like a point in the match, probably most of the match, where they both just kind of laid on the floor, and Yokozuna had Luger in a nerve hold. So he's basically just grabbing him like on his trap somewhere, like up here, just holding him with one hand. And it looks like they're just laying around doing nothing. I don't understand. And this match was probably about 15 minutes, and I'd say it was probably about 10 minutes too long. So, not very good. And there's a point where both managers try to get involved, and Luger knocks them both out with forearms, and they both just lay in the ring. And he hits Yokozuna with a forearm as well and puts him out. And then he goes for the pin, and Perfect just checks on both the managers instead of counting. And then Luger gets upset, and he pushes Perfect, and then Perfect DQs him. So Yokozuna retains by DQ, and the crowd is not happy about this. And then after the match, Luger and Perfect have a shouting match backstage. And I guess, you know what, it kind of makes sense. They're showing, I was saying they didn't follow the history, but they kind of are. So with the roles reversed now, Luger's the face and Perfect is the heel. So kind of interesting turn there. And this match was still terrible. Probably the worst match of the night. I'm going to give it a rotten. It was really tough to sit through. Okay, next up was something kind of weird. Howard Finkel was out in the ring, and then all of a sudden Harvey Whippleman comes out of nowhere and gets in his face, and he actually rips his tie off, and then Atom Bomb comes out and is going to start to attack Finkel, but then out comes Earthquake, and he attacks Atom Bomb, and he hits him with a power slam and then a splash, and then he pins him. I didn't even know it was a match. I don't know. I didn't hear the bell ring or anything. It just kind of happened. It was like such a random, bizarre thing. So I can't even rate this. This just happened. I don't know. It was such a weird occurrence that I guess it was to get them both on the card, but what? It was so random and out of nowhere. I don't know. All right. And next up, the Intercontinental Championship match was a ladder match between Razor Ramon and Shawn Michaels. And the story here is that Shawn Michaels was Intercontinental Champion and then took a hiatus from the company, still as champion. And Razor Ramon ended up winning the title a little bit later. And then when Shawn came back, he never lost the title. So these two are at odds with each other, trying to see who the undisputed Intercontinental Champion is. And the only way they figured out how to decide it is to hang the titles above the ring and use a ladder to see who the true champion is. And here we go. This has to be one of the most innovative and impactful matches in WWE, WWF history. And that's not even an exaggeration. It was so big for the future of the company. There were so many ladder matches going forward, and a lot of the spots are still used today. Like, they were so innovative back then, and you still see most of them. A lot of them are. Oh my god! This match was just awesome. One thing that's kind of different about this match from ladder matches today is it was just one ladder. There wasn't like a bunch of them scattered all over. There weren't under the ring. There's just one ladder out in the aisleway. They bring it in the ring, and that's it. They use the ladder to do tons of crazy spots. They were throwing at each other. They were using it to, like, fall on top of each other with. They were just hitting each other with it. It was awesome. So much good stuff. This match would absolutely hold up today as an incredible match. And usually, a lot of ladder matches don't have great psychology, and this one actually did, which is something a lot of them are missing, but they're still always great. The ladder actually, like, broke at one point. It like, kind of bent and twisted, so I'm feeling like it was probably pretty hard at the end to actually climb it successfully. But these two made it work. Shawn really cemented himself as Mr. WrestleMania here, and Razor worked his ass off too. So this was just incredible. Oh my God, can't say enough good things about this. This was by far the match of the night. The crowd knew they were seeing something super special here, and they showed it. They were on fire. Bret and Owen worked hard, and the crowd was on fire for that, but this was a whole another level up. This was just something super special. Razor gets the win when he kind of sticks Michaels in the ropes. He kind of pushes Michaels off the ladder first, and Michaels gets crotched on the top rope, and then his leg gets caught, and then when he's trying to free himself, his arm gets caught too. So Razor gets a path, climbs up, grabs both titles. He falls off the ladder, and he is the Intercontinental Champion in an incredible match. I feel pretty safe to say this is the best match in WrestleMania history up to this point. And this one is absolutely a glorious, incredible match. And wow, just wow. And finally, we have the main event, the WWF title match between Yokozuna with Fuji and Jim Cornette versus Bret the Hitman Hart, who comes out selling his injured leg from the earlier match. And this is the first rematch main event in WrestleMania history. It may even be the first rematch in WrestleMania history, but I don't want to say that and be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. There's been a lot of matches I've watched, so, like, I don't remember there being a rematch, but, like, I don't know. There's been a lot, so who knows. And this was solid. It was pretty much just as good as their match previous. It got more time, and I think it was pretty good. There's some good psychology here and really good storytelling. Bret's injured and he's selling the injury, and Yoko's a little tired too from his match with Luger, so neither of them are at the top of their game. And I forgot to mention that the special guest referee is Rowdy Roddy Piper. So Bret has a nice babyface impartial ref to help him out. I mean, impartial, and obviously he's going to be a little bit against the heel. He's a little biased against the heel, so it's definitely going to help Bret out in a couple of spots when Yoko's kind of taking some liberties on him, and Rowdy's not going to take it because Rowdy doesn't take anything from anybody. There's a point where Cornette pulls Piper out of the ring, and then Piper absolutely, like, annihilates him, which is cool. Cornette takes a great bump. And Bret Hart is going to get his feel-good win when Yoko goes for the bonsai drop from the second rope and loses his balance and falls backwards, and Bret gets a 1, 2, 3, and Bret Hart is your new WWF champion, and the crowd goes absolutely wild. I haven't heard a lot of crowd reactions like this. They were really hot for him, and they were just super happy to see their guy win the title in the main event of WrestleMania. And Lex Luger comes out and shakes Bret's hand, and then a bunch of baby faces come out and lift him up on their shoulders and celebrate. And then I love this. Owen comes out, and I love the storytelling between the two because it's just, Owen's trying to get out of Bret's shadow, and he beat him earlier in the night, clean as a whistle, in the middle of the ring, 1, 2, 3, and here is his brother that he just beat, winning the WWF Championship. That's great stuff. That is just great stuff. Owen comes out, they have a stare down, And that's it. Bret goes back to celebrating, and he gets his moment on top as champion at WrestleMania. Great stuff. The match was good. The match wasn't really special. The moment was more special than the match. So it was just good, solid stuff. Overall, I would say this is the best WrestleMania so far by a good margin. And I hope to see something surpass it going forward, but we'll see. Until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe to us on YouTube, like and comment on our videos, like us on Twitter at Deep Six Wrestling, and follow us on Facebook, which is the opposite. You should follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook, Deep Six Wrestling. Thank you guys so much. Have a glorious day.